Welcome to another edition of Superkickin with Steven, your favorite host right here, Steven. Joining me, of course, to Greg. We got a lot to talk up. We got Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW, all back with fans. Well, not Raw, sorry. The rest of the week was back with fans. Hell in a Cell predictions. Some of my predictions I were going to go back and forth on now because of what happened last night and what's happened previously. So excited to have fans back. I think there was a great energy to SmackDown last night. I thought AEW, of course, had the energy as they've been back the past couple weeks. And we'll see what Raw brings up, after. So good stuff to have. Greg, I know you're a little downtrodden, though. You were up 2-0. Now it's tied.
Yeah. Now it's a series. We were hoping to get a split and just make it a wrap tonight. Didn't happen. Milwaukee came out and they played like they're supposed to play when they're at home and desperate. They got both wins in their house, and now it goes back to our house. So game 5 tonight, 9 o'clock. I'll be ready, locked in. But I still fully expect my Suns to get this out. It's the best of 3 series now, and 2 games are at home. So I totally expect them to come through just off of, they've been the best team in the playoffs the whole playoff season. Devin Booker's ready to take that next step. Kobe took this man in as his protege, and this is his moment. Kobe told him to be legendary. This is the time to be legendary. So I expect to, I'd say, at least for the next 2 games, that he's going to put up big numbers, 30, 40 points, and just take over. The rest of the team will fall in line behind him, and Chris Paul played uncharacteristically off his game, so he's going to be on, and when those 2 are going at the same time, you can't stop them. So it's going to happen. We're going to take game 5 tonight, and then hopefully wrap it up in Milwaukee, because the rule about game 7s. We really don't want game 7s. So I'm still taking them 6, 7 games, doesn't matter. It's their year, and they're going to take it. So.
And a road team hasn't won yet. So there you go. True. So somebody needs to win on the road. Or, well, I guess they don't have to. I guess Phoenix could just close it out in Phoenix. But, yeah.
Milwaukee has to win on the road.
Yes, Milwaukee has to win. Yeah. And they have to win technically 2 out of 3 on the road. So that's always telling. But and then what about this stuff with Damian Lillard? I thought he'd be a guy to stick around. And now he's coming out, I didn't say that, which always makes me believe something was said. And I'm kind of disappointed. I guess until he gets traded or whatever, I won't be disappointed. But if he does, you kind of had that, it's like Giannis. Like you hope Giannis stays, or I'm sure you guys want Booker to stay for his career, something like that. And I thought Damian Lillard was like a different ilk. I didn't think he'd be that type too. But you probably get frustrated and, you keep doing the same stuff. He's doing all he can there. So I guess I get it, but it kind of sucks if he does end up, requesting a trade. We both can't get out words. Words come easy, not today. But anyway, so, and he's kind of been linked to, the Ben Simmons stuff. And, people are throwing out my Pacers, like Sabonis to Portland, Simmons here, Lillard, Sixers. So I'm like, I don't want Ben Simmons though. I just him, Malcolm Brogdon, LeVert. That's a hard pairing. I feel like somebody would have to be the 6th man. Like they all can't play,
right?
Because we got T.J. Warren coming back. Unless you move T.J. Warren to the 4, but Warren's not big enough to play at the 4. I don't think. I think nowadays, I guess it doesn't matter per se, but still, yeah. And like, I don't want to get rid of Sabonis because he's done everything he can here. But yeah, the Lillard stuff, I'm like, man, that just kind of sucks if it is true.
I think it's
like
a lot of people talking for him, though. Until he says something or alludes to it himself, people are fantasy booking him in other cities. Yeah. All my Laker fans have been dropping memes with him in Laker colors next to LeBron and AD. And, I think a lot of people are speaking for him. He's frustrated. I'm sure he's frustrated. But, if every frustrated superstar automatically got switched to another team, nothing would be people be moving all the time. So it's not the case until he says it is. His agent says it is, and I think it's a lot of people speaking on his behalf. Who he may be that loyal guy, may be Portland for life, or at least until the end of his contract. So. I'd go by that for right now, and to listen to all the fantasy bookers out there, because there's a lot of them going right now.
Yeah. It is a downfall too. Like LeBron had the same problem. Everybody was speaking up for him, and I think he got too many voices in his head. He had a big entourage. I don't think he has that. I think once he kind of realized, I don't need all that, and that, who knows, maybe Lillard has. That too many people around him trying to all get their, like they always say, get their hand in a cookie jar as it is. So, I mean, that's what happened to Victor Oladipo. I think too many voices got to him and he realized, oh, I need to leave. And he did. And Paul George, like it's all these young guys. So, but yeah, I guess listen to the state of basketball for all more basketball talk. I believe it's tomorrow. So, all right, let's get to Raw because there were some surprises on Raw. Let's just start right off the bat. Xavier Woods defeats Bobby Lashley. Who had that on their bingo card for 2021, 2020, 2019, 20? Like, I mean, I get it, especially when we look at the end. Lashley needed to, I think he's not buried. He's not, I think he's going to kill Kofi on Sunday. Kill Goldberg at SummerSlam, and then whatever happens after that, that's when we'll have to see. But what a win for Xavier Woods. And he's showing that he could go in the ring. We haven't seen a lot of singles for Xavier Woods, and now we're starting to see that. So I was okay with it. It's just a nice win for Xavier Woods. It turned Bobby Lashley around. And that's what happened at the end. He got rid of the women. I almost thought he was going to take out MVP at the end, and he didn't. But I think he should have, even if MVP is like comes back. But So I kind of put book in them so you could talk about both segments. But I think it was a really strong segment at the end for Bobby Lashley to get that aura back about him. So. Have at it, Greg. What do you think about Xavier Woods and Bobby Lashley, and then the end segment, and we'll build in the middle as well.
Yeah, it was all great. In true, we saw the matchup Woods and Lashley, and okay, we've seen this movie before. It's still going to be a good match, and Lashley's going to win, and all of a sudden Xavier gets the win. I was like, what? Okay, and I'm sure that was the prevailing response among most of us who are watching that. But we've been seeing Xavier done some great matches over the last few months. So, we expected a great match from him. And, this match delivered. It was really good. And, definitely swerved us at the end. And then, it ties in great throughout the show where it shows Lashley's a bit disheveled, and he brushes aside, MVP, and let's go to the lounge, yada yada, and then at the end, doing away with the girls and the lounge, and cuts a fire promo. That was the best promo I've seen him do
in a while,
as long as I can remember. Yeah. That was a great promo. And we talked about thought Kofi was just trying to talking smack, and no, he was right. And it couldn't lay the groundwork better. Everything they've been doing over the last few weeks has been on point, and it definitely sets the stage for this weekend. I'm with you. I think he's going to, of course, Kofi, about, I'm not going to say a squash match, but about 10 minutes and,
Yeah.
Thoroughly dominant. And, then on to Oldberg, more like it. So, but the whole segment and all the little pieces that weave through the show were perfect. That's the way it should be done.
And I kind of wonder if this might open the night on Money in the Bank, unless you do open with one of the Money in the Bank matches. But this would probably, I think you almost have Lashley come out there and be like demanding Kofi come out and ask for the match like right away. And then, like you said, I think Kofi gets some offense in, but Kofi ain't winning it.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll be curious to see when they place this, because like I said, I could see it really start. Do you think you could see it starting the night tomorrow night?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And kind of and then that gives Lashley, that aura back and all that. So a couple backstage segments. We did have Alexa Bliss welcoming Eva Marie and Dewdrop, and I like that Alexa was trying to talk to Dewdrop, but Eva Marie was speaking for her. And you also had the whole Dewdrop was kind of mesmerized later on in the night by Alexa Bliss. So and we'll kind of go to that match real quick, because we had Nikki Ash defeat Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Naomi, because we had Eva Marie come out there, and Dewdrop takes out Alexa Bliss, drops her over the barricade, and then all of a sudden Alexa Bliss is gone and never back. So that might play into my prediction, though, for tomorrow night. But so, Greg, what do you think about the segment with Alexa Playground? And then, of course, Nikki Ash winning. I think we can mark her off as not winning the Money in the Bank, because I don't think she would have won it Monday night and then win again. So I am eliminating her. I'm like, I go by process of elimination. I feel like Nikki has now moved to my bottom, even though it makes sense storyline, but I feel like they're just going to build her for what she is. So, yeah, what do you think about the match? And then, what do you think about Alexa Bliss kind of almost trying to play up, try to get Dewdrop on her side in a way, not on her side, but we're going to see that Dewdrop turn. And like I said, I think it needs to happen sooner rather than later. But have your own thoughts on it.
Yeah, the playground segment was lost on me. I was like, okay, what was that? It didn't do anything except for giving Maria a chance to complain, and she could do that in the ring. The match itself was the match. I wasn't impressed by it, and the part with the Alexa disappearing and the interaction with Dewdrop, it's really the last time they can pull that kind of hocus pocus on us with, now that they're going back in front of live crowds.
Guess you won't. You don't want to drop her in a pile of fans.
Right. It's not going to go over as well.
The fans could just, the fans love Alexa Bliss, so yeah, you better not drop them in. I don't want to know what some of those, I don't know how handsy some of those fans might get. So.
True. being nice, they could crowd surf her all the way to the back.
That's what I was wondering. You do the old school, take her all around. I know they did that with Spike Dudley back in the day, when Mike Awesome threw him in just past the barricade, and they just started almost helping him get back to the ring. So like you said, I get it, and it had Eva Marie talk up the win, of course. And like I said, I think that this Monday night, you need to have Dewdrop turn on her. Even if Eva Marie still tries to keep her around, I still think you want Dewdrop to really set herself with that live crowd and all that. We also had Drew McIntyre destroy the motorcycle of Jinder Mahal. I don't know who Drew is going to get on his side, because we got the Viking Raiders kind of involved with, AJ and Omos. I mean, I guess maybe New Day after Sunday night, they'll probably have something. They'll need something to do. Other than that, I don't, because you feel like Drew, I guess he could take them all out, but at the same time, you could help build a tag team up, against Veer and Shanky. But do you think there's any tag team that does kind of come to the aid of Drew, maybe Monday night if Drew's getting beat down, or is this just Drew all for himself to try to build himself out?
One team comes to mind. I like the New Day idea, aside from the fact that standing next to Beer and Shanky or whatever the names are, that it would be really odd looking because they would tower over both of them. And they probably have different plans for New Day on the tag team level. They're always operating at the top. The team I could see Drew rallying, and because I'm still rooting for these guys as badly as they've been portrayed so far on the main roster, are Dio Madden and Dijakovic. And just have them break off from the whole retribution thing, take off the stupid face paint, and rally those two together. Size-wise, it works. You put those three teams together, or those three people, teams of three, side by side. Now it looks good. Now it looks even. Guys who are equal size, and that would look legit. And this way, you could hit them with Dijakovic's origin story. You can hit them with Madden's origin story, and be done with the whole retribution nonsense, and show them in the brighter light standing next to Drew. It's like me standing next to the supermodel. I look better just because I'm standing next to the supermodel. They're going to look better because they're standing next to Drew, and he's going to give them his shine, and we're going to look at them differently. True. So if he gets those two together, go run with me, let's go take these guys out. This is a way to relaunch them on the fly. And so I'm pulling for that team because it makes sense. They don't have anything else to do. And, they're sitting back and catering, just robbing the bank with a ski mask, with their, for their paychecks, make them earn it. And I think it's a perfect opportunity for them.
Especially if you did a backstage segment, like maybe early in the night with Drew just trying to call them out on it. And then they come to the aid of him later on. You give Drew, because obviously Drew can use his own promos. We'll get away from the stories that he's been telling about, whatever stories he's been telling, but try to get him back to where he is. Because and that's the thing too. But then Money in the Bank's looming over my head, like, does that play a part? So I'll roll with your idea of Mason T-Bar somehow. But then that loss to Lucha House Party just makes me think they're in Ascension land. They're
right, but there's no better time than right now to do that.
I know, but you got to think, you're at the bottom, and I'm curious. But like we said, I think Drew would help them as much as he could, and maybe Drew wants to go to bat for them because I feel like Drew has to have some pull backstage now. With all that he's accomplished. So it's going to be fun to see him get a nice crowd reaction too. Because I hope that the crowd hasn't turned on him. But then if he wins the Money in the Bank, I kind of wonder if they will. So that's going to be an interesting, we'll see where that goes. As we kind of saw in AEW with, we thought heels would be heels and faces would be faces. But some other stuff, Ivar defeated AJ Styles, but then almost defeated Eric. So we're just continuing that. Sheamus defeated Humberto Carrillo, but the big story there is Damian Priest coming out. I'm all Damian Priest should beat Sheamus. I'm fine with that. It gets him away from Riddle and Orton. It gives him the U.S. title, gives him back on the pedestal. So, Greg, Damian Priest for U.S. title on your end?
I will sign up for the rivalry, but not yet. I'm loving what Sheamus is doing with the U.S. title and his open challenge. And the open challenge in the sense that it's still a challenge, but it's not for the title. It's a great angle, and it's a twist on the old familiar. And I've been loving what he's been doing. The face mask looks awesome. And I want to see more of that. What Sheamus has been doing has been great. And then give him a program with Priest to build him up, because Sheamus is one of those guys that'll elevate him. So after a good program, then we can put the title on Priest, because could be just me, but I don't know if the crowd is sold on what Priest is supposed to be right now. Is this golf guy, is this heavy metal guy, he's rolling with Bad Bunny. Who is this guy? There's not much on him, and so we don't have much reason to buy in. So after getting a good set of matches, against a proven heel, against a tough guy, against a dude like Sheamus, that could be definitely very helpful in getting him over.
Ricochet defeated John Morrison in Falls Count Anywhere. We just keep going back and forth. I feel like those guys are just going to take each other out at Money in the Bank, unless one takes the other one out, and then that kind of moves it on. I don't know. I don't really have any more thoughts on this. I feel like we're just we keep circling around. Like, we don't know which direction we want to go, because we had John Morrison beat Ricochet. We had Ricochet beat him. Unless they finally put some, stakes to it. Like, we're going to do best of 5, our best of 3, and then you say, okay, like we did with Booker T and Chris Benoit back in the day, or whoever. I think it was Jericho, and maybe some, we had a best of 7.
Yeah.
Or we did Sheamus and Cesaro, which ended up tied, but whatever. And then they became a great tag team. So, funny story, Greg. The last match was here in Indianapolis for Sheamus and Cesaro when they, had the tie. But always fun to kind of pull those little beats of trivia. So, Eddie, do you have any other new thoughts on Ricochet and John Morrison? Because I don't.
Well, this puts Ricochet had beaten Morrison two out of 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I guess. Yeah, because he beat the first time.
Well, they had the double
3 for Ricochet.
Yeah.
Oh, was it double count out?
Yeah, there was a double count out between. That's right.
Okay, so maybe the 1-1-1.
Yeah, something like
that. I think it's and a double disqualification.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, the point is that Ricochet has been put over more strongly than he has been since he came out of NXT.
That's true. Yeah.
And I think that he may finally be getting his turn. I said last week, if it was up to me, I would have him win the Money in the Bank. I'm pretty sure they're not going to let him. But at least a strong showing puts him in a higher tier.
Yes.
Maybe not top of the card, but top of the mid card. And you can put him in a legit program with Sheamus, or if he switches brands with the IC champ, him against Cruz, and so it seems like they're building him up strong. Even in the one loss he took, he still came over strong, and he's going to be over big with the crowd. The crowd loves Ricochet, and for a good reason. And he just hasn't been given the opportunity to, perform like he can perform in the ring. But this is, that time. It's the perfect time to reintroduce him as a stronger character, and it looks to me right now that that's what they're doing.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a great point that just a standout performance could do a lot for him. It could finally give him, because he got a lot of shine at the beginning. Him and Aleister Black, were the tag team title picture. They look good together. Him and Ali did some fun stuff together. So now, we'll kind of see where they really want to position him, at Money in the Bank. If he just is there for a couple spots and that's it, I think that would really say a lot. But if maybe he's climbing up the ladder, Morrison takes him out, or, he's kind of all over the place, then yeah, he's, in a better spot. So, and finally, Rhea Ripley defeated Natalya. We also had Charlotte come out there, take out Rhea. This is the one, Greg, I think I want to see where the crowd goes with this. Could it be the mixed, like let's go Charlotte, let's go Ripley, or let's go Rhea, and it goes back and forth, and because everybody keeps saying these two women are pretty much the same character. It's like it's hard to tell. Like I get that Rhea is probably supposed to be the face, but she doesn't have face quality. Like Bubba or Bubba Ray Dudley brought up. She's all in black. I don't care about what she looks like on TV because I feel like she pops on the screen. She's got that look. She's got the hair. She's got the muscle. Like I think she pops off the screen. She doesn't need to be colorful, but then you have Charlotte, the same exact thing. It's almost like when Charlotte and Dana were a thing. It's like you're just the same character. It doesn't really. Yeah. So I'm going to be interested tomorrow in Fort Worth. Like I could see a lot of back and forth with the crowd because the crowd doesn't know who to cheer for, in a way. So any thoughts on, maybe that aspect tomorrow? And then we'll get into the prediction, of course, later on. But thoughts on Rhea Ripley and Natalya, and then, of course, Charlotte coming out to go at the knee again.
Yeah. Matches were, blah. They were just there for filler to get us to, this weekend, tomorrow. And you're right. They are two peas in the same pod. They have completely done this wrong as far as the presentation of this match. And the storyline was there, and it was easy. Rhea's redemption for losing her title in NXT to Charlotte. Years gone by, Charlotte comes out, you can't beat me, I beat you at WrestleMania, blah, blah, blah. And this is Rhea's chance at redemption. I've had the year to sit on it and think about it and wonder what I did wrong and fix it. And now I'm going to beat the queen. It was there. It was basic, simple, and it's easy to follow. And they didn't do it. And they did the whole thing where Rhea's come out and she's just as arrogant and just as obnoxious as Charlotte is. And for what reason? What is it serving? And, I can out-dirty you. That's not good storytelling. If she's supposed to be the baby face, why is she, doing the dirty tactics? Nothing wrong with the baby faces having some edge to them and, being harder edged, but I know your tricks and I'm going to show you it's kind of pointless, where the easier storyline was right there, served on a silver platter, and they passed on it. So just like you, I'm going to be willing or looking forward to seeing how this goes reaction wise, because the safety of the Thunderdome is over, thank God, and we're going to get some real feedback. So I'm looking forward to put some type of maybe closure is a wrong word on this, because I'm sure it's going to go further after this match.
Could it go into SummerSlam, do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely going to have some, another match with some stipulation or a special match, cage match, something like that. But after this weekend, tomorrow night, the roles will be more clearly defined once we see how the crowd reacts to them.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like looking ahead to SummerSlam, I don't know who you throw at Rhea Ripley right now, because there's no women really up there yet. I guess maybe throw Nikki Ash just to do it. Maybe throw Nikki Ash in there as a third person just to kind of almost split the sides up a little bit and let that play out. But so that's Monday Night Raw. Let's do some NXT talk. Dakota Kai defeated Ember Moon. I thought that was a surprise. And then we had Xia Li come out and, look at Raquel Gonzalez and be like, I want that title. Now, Greg, I also noticed Dakota Kai giving a side eye to Raquel, like, wait a minute. Like, you're going to give. So I think that's intriguing. I think that's where that it's a very, very long wick as they say. And I think we're just starting to light it. But and then Xia Li's an interesting name to put in the title picture, because the way she's been booked, it feels like she should just kill Raquel Gonzalez. But then again, if Raquel beats her, that makes Raquel better. So you got all kinds of, and I mean, I feel bad for Ember Moon. Loses her tag team partner, loses now. I kind of think Ember Moon's going to go down I think Ember Moon might pick up some wins here and there, but I kind of feel like she's going to be a gatekeeper type in NXT, because I don't know. It like you said before, it feels hard to know her presentation and what they want to do with her. I felt like her and Shotzi really fit well together, because there was this, loner type, but they're together, and they had the look of Mad Max, Thunderdome, old school type stuff. So, but give me your own thoughts. Dakota Kai winning, and then that little Xia Li stuff, and does Dakota play a factor into that as well?
Yeah, Ember she's going back to the bottom. She's hanging out with Madden and Dijakovic right now, chilling and catering. She's just lost all her mojo since she came back, and she needs some time off camera to get right again. She's only been back for a handful of months, but the best go away, recreate themselves, and come back again. There's nothing against it. So I think she's at that point, gatekeeper status, where, get some wins here and there, but she's there to help new talent come up, the Zoe Starks of the world, and, give some impressive showings and, eat some L's in the process. The Xia Li angle was interesting, because I'm not sure if we're really getting Raquel over as a babyface now, because as long as she's in league with Dakota, she's still going to be seen as a heel. So maybe this is helping define, what side is she on, because Xia Li is more of a fiendish character.
Yeah.
In her presentation and the organization she's running with, the T and Shaw group, seemed more of a heel faction.
Yeah.
Which would put Raquel in more of a babyface spot. And out of her demeanor, her body language, she's smiling, she's coming across as a babyface on screen. And next to Dakota, who's scowling, and I caught the little side eye too, because she just walked past Dakota as if she wasn't there and got in Raquel's face. And so, I missed the slow burn of NXT with the storytelling. So I happily embrace it and look forward to the Dakota Raquel wick burning out for a while still. There'll be little hints here and there of Dakota turning, and little, mistakes that may pop up, things like that. And eventually it'll happen. But, we need the slow burn back, so I'm here for it.
And especially, like we said, it just gives me all the Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash type stuff. And it's kind of interesting. It's kind of switched in a way, because you have, Dakota almost not as the heavy, but like looking up to the heavy, like, wait a minute, you probably should be helping me out, but she isn't. So yeah, I'll be interested to see, like you said, little things here and there, because it does seem like we'll start to slowly get that. Tyler Rust of Diamond Mine defeated Bobby Fish. So we're kind of, we don't get Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong yet, but we're probably going to get that down the road. Any thoughts on that match? I thought it was fine. I didn't, I don't know if the Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong is enough. Does that make sense? Like Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, it felt like we needed the third match, obviously, but like I don't know if they're trying to recreate that with Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong. And Bobby Fish looked a little pudgy there. I think he's got to hit the weight room a little bit. I don't know if he's always been that thick, has he? Like I felt he's been off TV for a while, but I feel like he hasn't always like been that kind of heavy on the gut side. But yeah, and Bobby Fish is a good wrestler, but I just don't know if he can redefine himself like Kyle O'Reilly has. Obviously, you got Roderick Strong doing it with a faction. Does Bobby Fish try to enlist some guys to help him? So, thoughts on Diamond Mine and Bobby Fish segment and the storyline there?
Yeah, I like where they were coming from. That they were backstage. They did the little open challenge, and Bobby Fish stepped up and be like, "Oh, we didn't see that coming." Fish is strong, and so I like what they did there. And Strong doing the classic heel move where you're not facing me yet, you're facing my boy. Yeah. And he's going to have to work his way through the gauntlet to get to Roderick. So basic storytelling, 1, 2, 3, and that's all we need. There's no point in bringing out Diamond Mine and having him eat L's at the big straight out the beginning. So it makes sense that Fish loses the match, even though he's just come back too. We're more familiar with him. We've seen him a lot more on NXT TV as opposed to Diamond Mine, who we've only seen pretty much 1.5 times. So it's a good introduction to Diamond Mine. It's just a chance to see what Tyler Russ can do, and it's going to help keeping Fish involved to give some relevancy to Rust and the other Asian guy. I can't think of what his name is.
Hideki something Suzuki.
Yeah.
I think
that's
like that.
That's why he needs to be involved so we can get to learn his name.
Yes.
So they're doing a good job of letting us know about his background, but once it'll start sinking in once we see him in the ring and getting some camera time.
Yeah. Saray defeated Gigi Dolan. Of course, everybody was talking about that drop kick that almost I think Saray almost slipped through the ropes. That was quite the drop kick, but I thought this is a little bit better showing for Saray than the previous ones. And I thought Gigi Dolan looked okay. I think it was one of her first outings, and I think she was known as Priscilla Kelly, and she was with Darby Allin for a little bit, and now they're no longer together. But anyways, so looks like she's trying to kind of earn her own wings. Greg, are you on the Saray train yet? Because I'm still kind of not.
Yeah, still right now, no. She just doesn't do anything for me. I was more impressed with Gigi Dolan, to be honest with you. From the match standpoint, what she was doing was more impressive. I don't know if I didn't notice it the first time or one of the first couple times she had matches or not. Her finish, that little Fishman's frame buster, I don't know what you want to call it. It looked really impressive this time. So I don't know if I just didn't see it before or it went like that and we missed it. So I like her finisher. But she was the unspectacular person in the match. I thought Dolan was a lot more interesting and carried the match more than Saray did.
And I did forget to mention that somebody came out there to watch this match by the name of Mandy Rose. So it sounds like Mandy Rose is going to be in NXT now. And we will bring up Mandy Rose later on because of what happened backstage later on. But very interested to see Mandy Rose Some people say demoted, some people say promoted because she might get more shine down there. I think it just is what it is. I think the odd woman out is Dana Brooke. I don't think Dana Brooke. I think, if we see another round of cuts, is it going to surprise us if we see Dana Brooke on that list? Probably not. I just don't. I think they've tried everything they can with her. At least, they obviously believe in Mandy Rose because they're giving her this shot to do something in NXT. And, it's worked for people. They reinvent themselves. They find a new avenue, and then they come back, as we saw last night, which I did not think that certain person would be back last night. So, yeah. But
right.
Mandy Rose out there watching. How about we just get to it because we're talking about her. So, Casey Castanzaro, Kaden Carter beat Aaliyah and Jessie Camilla, and Aaliyah decided to turn on Robert Stone brand, leave him in the dust. We had Frankie Monet out there, and then we had Mandy Rose say, well, the Robert Stone brand's under new management. So I guess we're getting Mandy Rose, Frankie Monet, Jessie, and Robert Stone, which is, and I think that's kind of because we know the star power Mandy Rose has, and then you have the new star power and Frankie, and then they can both build up Jessie, and Robert Stone is there for good comedic relief. So I'm okay with it. I guess they need to turn Jessie blonde now, almost to fit in with, they got to dye her hair because you got two beautiful blondes. And but anyway, so what do you think about Greg? So, and then it sounds like Aaliyah is going to Raw, and that I'm not ready for that. Aaliyah's not ready for it, I don't think. But whatever. I guess we need women. So
yes, we do.
But it sounds like because Aaliyah's worked a dark match. And it's funny, they said she worked a dark match last night against Xia Li, which I don't know if that means they're going to call Xia Li up already, but interesting that Aaliyah, because obviously she walked out the door, so it sounds like, you're putting Mandy Rose down there, but then you're calling up Aaliyah. And I don't think Aaliyah's been in NXT for thousands of years. So I guess it's sink or swim time, Because I still remember her on that very first NXT Breaking Ground series. Like they had Baron Corbin and Tyler Breeze and all the, like those guys. And Aaliyah was on there. So obviously it's been time. And now it is. I guess it is kind of like sink or swim time. But so, Greg, have your own thoughts. Frankie Monet, Mandy Rose teaming up to, kind of lead a group of women, I guess. And Robert Stone just kind of pushed to the side, without a shoe. Hopefully he found a shoe because he lost it there. But have at it with the new Frankie Monet and Mandy Rose and Jessie kind of teaming up, it looks like.
Yeah, well, we saw this coming. They were dropping the breadcrumbs for this a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of a running thing until, this match right here. And Aaliyah, getting sick of it and, beating down Robert Stone, and this going to serve its purpose for right now. I'm surprised this is all he can do. I mean, I like him as Robbie in Impact, given a legit moment, he can do some good ring work. But this is who he is right now. And then we get backstage, and we see that Frankie Monet is pretty much coerced. We've done a great job talking today.
Coerced. There you go. That word too.
Coerced him into thinking along her lines and rallying the troops. And Robert Stone is. I thought they were going to kick him out the door right behind Aaliyah, and they didn't. I guess the Aaliyah walking out is, foreshadowing. She left. She literally left, and now she's going to pop up in another program. And so that's why he didn't get thrown out either. He's staying, but he's going to be a minion and underling. And the women are going to run, the camp. And of course, I love Frankie. She's awesome. La Wera Loca. from the Lucha Underground days. Shout out to Lucha Underground. And it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen with the three of them. They're all practically becoming, more legit with Monet at the front, and it's going to be a new Bad Girls Club, and it's going to, I think, kind of reinvent them from the comedy act that they've been to being a serious group of women who can do some damage.
Yeah, and I think Robert Stone will be the best, like kind of the best part, because he's going to be quite the lapdog. You feel like he's going to be the servant to them, and that's going to be interesting. I guess speaking of servants, we did get some good segments with LA Knight and Cameron Grimes, the little kid doing the grass cutting, and of course we had all that, and those are going to be really interested to see as they go. Santos Escobar defeated Dexter Lumis. I was kind of surprised with that outcome. It sounds like Escobar still wants to go after some titles, so he still wants the North American title. We almost saw it, Greg. We almost got it. We were getting so close to it. I loved because we did have, Dexter carrying out Indy, and now we had Indy try to carry him out. It just drops him, but ends up on top of him. And then Candice LeRae comes in. I mean, we got the crowd back, so it's going to happen. I thought they might, because we don't know what TakeOver is going to be. Like if they might just skip out SummerSlam weekend, So I think, it's going to come. I think it should just happen right in front of Candice LeRae just to really play that up. So first off, what do you think about Santos going after the North American title? I know we had all but written him off as probably head to the main roster. I mean, I guess he's got a little more time down there, though.
Yeah, I think so too. I was surprised by that also. He's ready to go. The whole clique is ready to go up, and I thought maybe form a Latino connection with the Mysterios, and do something with that. But to have him, want to stay down and challenge for the North American Championship, really interesting. The Legado versus Hit Row, and those could be a great series of matches, and having a little gang warfare going on with those guys. They need to bring in a female to offset BFAB, but it could be a really good rivalry with those two groups, and Hit Row needs some challengers. So
and we haven't seen BFAB in the ring yet, so maybe they're waiting for some woman to join Escobar. And then, of course, if you add a woman, you feel like you'll keep them down there even longer, just so she can get the rub off of what Legado, David Tasma can do. I know there is that Selena Del Renta. I've heard her name a lot mentioned, and she just did everything is on sale, everything has to be sold on her Pro Wrestling Tee shop. So I think she's kind of the next woman that's coming to NXT. I don't know how soon it is, but I've seen on Twitter her saying, everything must go sale. So I would assume if you're selling everything on your Pro Wrestling Tee site, you're probably heading to NXT or heading to somewhere, because why would you do that? So, but yeah, you bring up a good point that I think we do need a woman involved. Too bad Selena Vega is on SmackDown, or else she'd be a good name, because her and Escobar probably would be a really good fit. Building each other up as well. But
now, saying, where's Mercedes Martinez gone?
Yeah,
she doesn't really fit from a looks standpoint, but
she's got the heritage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, did she get hurt? Did she get legit hurt though? Some point, I think, because I felt like they wrote her. I'd have to look that up, but yeah, I felt like
I'm not sure.
Was it? I thought it was the match with Xia Li where she took a pretty good shot, and she was trying to see how she was after that. I think she took a legit kick to the head. Remember, she just kind of crumpled.
That's true. Yeah.
Was that the takeover? Because we haven't seen her since then, I feel like.
Yeah, it was the last pay-per-view, whatever that was.
Yeah, it wasn't Great American Bash because they weren't even on there. But yeah, I thought she took that pretty good shot, and I mean, she said she was okay, but that shot didn't look like she was okay. So we did also have a first round NXT breakout tournament. Duke Hudson and Ikemen Jiro. I thought, just kind of good guys. It feels like they're obviously higher on Jiro because he didn't get the win. I felt like Duke probably needed the win more. And wrestling in that blazer, which is so funny to see because you think that would limit your movement, but he doesn't. So, and of course, Beth Phoenix loves it because she's all about the blazer game. Any thoughts on Duke Hudson and Ikemen? Am I saying it? Ikemen Jiro? I hope I say that right.
Yeah, I think you are. It was a good match, and I like these matches, two guys that we don't know, and so there's no preconceived notions about him, aside from, the promos they cut before the match, and we can form out our opinions accordingly. So good match, and, you can see why they brought in both of these guys. They both stand out on their own for different reasons. And, they're at a point where they have to restock the cupboard. And so this is the time to do it. And, this tournament is going to help, everybody in it shine regardless of who wins or who loses. So I liked them both. Thought the match was good. And I agree with you since, Jiro seems to be more the favorite, the more likable one. It gives him more to work with, and since that it's okay for him to take the L and push the the bad guy to the front.
Yeah, and of course this tournament, I think it was in 2019, they had like Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, Isaiah Swerve Scott, who else? I think Escobar, Cameron Grimes. So yeah, this tournament does lead, it gives a good shine, like you said, to guys that we might have known and might not have, but obviously you could see that they're high on them no matter what, if they put this in this tournament. And finally, we get to the NXT Championship. Karrion Kross defeats Johnny Gargano. Really, really solid match. Of course, the end shows Samoa Joe get involved, and then Karrion Kross puts on that lock on Samoa Joe. So, of course, we got to get Joe and Karrion Kross. I wonder if they'll say non-title just to kind of play that up. But interested to see that. That's the match I think we wanted to see. I thought Gargano played up against Kross. I thought, it gave him a good face turn as, it really puts Gargano in the face side of things. And, of course, I think if we have Indy make out or kiss Dexter and then you finally have Candice LeRae just give in to it, that turns them faces. So even though I also heard Greg Austin Theory worked a dark match last night on SmackDown, so I don't know if they're calling up. I mean, I feel like you got to call up all four. I think they really need all four at least to start, and then we just split them up. But yeah, so thoughts on Kross and Gargano, and then of course Joe and Kross is going to be ridiculously hard hitting and just an all-out slugfest. And I can't wait to see it. And I don't know when they'll pull it off, but they got to now. I mean, everything's right there. As you say, lay it on a silver platter and serve it up. So.
Exactly. Yeah, the match was awesome. And you can see they were leaning into Johnny's face turn, referencing him as Johnny Wrestling. Johnny Wrestling's back. The fans chanting Johnny Wrestling, and he playing into that character. And of course, you're going to come across that guy when you're going against Karrion Kross. So the outcome was as expected. Gargano gives him a great match, loses in the end, and then ends up with him and Joe going at it. And I love it because you look at those two and they look at each other eye to eye, not Kross looking down at Gargano.
Yeah.
And Joe may not be as tall as Cross, but he is actually bigger than Cross when you look at his size, his sheer size. And this is a match that we kind of saw coming from the moment that Joe's music hit for his re-entry into NXT. So I'm ready for it. I definitely got to see that. And I agree, it can't be for the title, but we can settle all differences right here. And if Cross is working these dark matches, it could be a sign of something bigger to come. So I don't see him dropping the belt to Joe. Joe would be a guy who wants to beat Cross just to give a blow to his pride.
Mm-hmm.
And but if he's gonna be going up that soon, what are they gonna do with the belt? So it's gonna be an interesting. It's just more reason to watch, really, to see how it plays out. But I think all this is kind of see Joe being the one to send Cross up to the main roster with an L.
And of course, if you did have Cross beat Joe, I wonder if maybe you could have Cross just say, like, forfeit the title and say, I've done all I can. I'm out. Type, like, I don't know, something like that. So nobody beat Cross for the title. And then you have Cross just showing that he's just decimated everybody, even Samoa Joe. Because like you said, I think Samoa Joe and Cross just need an enforcer match. Like, it's just Joe using his he was provoked status to get the match, and he doesn't need to put the title on the line. So and I just think overall, man, you talk about Samoa Joe and just the career he's had, and the like you bring up the size and what he can do, and I need to go back and watch some of his older stuff because people said like his stuff with Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, and just back in the day of ROH is just ridiculous. I really haven't sat down to do that yet, but I should. So
even just go back to his Impact days.
Yes.
That series that he had with Kurt Angle,
Mm-hmm.
When they were building up Joe and he had 100+ match win streak going on. Kurt Angle came in as the brand new guy, and they had that epic moment in the middle of the ring where they squared off for the first time, and they're talking smack, but you can't hear it on the mics. And then Angle headbutts Joe, hits him in the bridge of the nose, and he starts bleeding right there. And then I think the next week is Angle comes out and he rubs it in, and he says, a couple of these guys didn't know about you, Joe. And the first thing I didn't know is that you're a bleeder. And, that kind of sets off their set of matches, which were great matches. So, you can go back to Joe's Impact days to see, what a killer he is and how good he is in the ring. So it's something we haven't seen on WWE TV in a very long time, not since he came in through his, Triple H's heavy. I think while he was in the Seth Rollins feud, I want to say.
Yeah.
But so every time I've seen Joe, he's been money when he had time to work.
And of course, he works really well against smaller guys because he can beat them down, and then sometimes he can sell the hell out of stuff for them. So I think it's always interesting to see how he pairs up with like a guy that's not his size. So real quick, let's take a quick commercial break for Elite Performance. Then we'll get to AEW and SmackDown, and then we'll do another break, and then we'll get into our Hell in a Cell Money in the Bank predictions, because that is the current pay-per-view. I'm getting all mixed up. I don't know why I had Hell in a Cell in the brain, but anyways, so it's just a crazy Saturday. I think we're hitting the doldrums of summer right now. So, but if you want to get elite, you need to go Elite Performance. everybody, and we are back. We're heading into Wednesday night because we are at AEW's first night of Fyter Fest, a really solid night, a really good night, especially the end. I give AEW a lot of credit. We've seen a lot of good, the younger stars put on main event matches lately, the past 2 or 3 weeks. It's really setting the stage for what AEW can do in the next few years. So, but we started the night off right, hot and heavy with Jon Moxley defending his U.S. IWGP title against Carl Anderson. I thought this really gave the shine back to Carl Anderson. We know what he could do as a tag team, and we've seen some of his stuff in New Japan, but this really got him back as a singles guy. And now we're also going to see, because we brought this up last week, Greg, where I was like, what in the hell is Lance Archer doing? Like, we don't know. So now we're going to get Jon Moxley, Lance Archer, Texas Death Match 2. And I believe that's next week because they're in Texas. So we're getting Moxley back on the road. He did some time with Renee and baby Nora, and now he's back on the road. So unless, I'm going to be curious if baby Nora and Renee ever come on the road with him soon enough. But anyway, so the Wild thing was awesome. I loved him in the crowd. I thought that was great. And I thought Carl Anderson, we just always forget how good of a singles guy he is. And when he's on, he's on. So really great match. And then we're going to get a Texas death match, which I can't talk today, too. So, Greg, have at it. Your own thoughts on beginning segment and Lance Archer and Jon Moxley for the title next week.
Yeah. Like I said, great match. I didn't know how good a singles competitor that Carl Anderson was, because every time I've seen him, he's with Gallows. So it was a great departure for to just see him as a solo wrestler, going for the title. Great way to kick off the night. I still hate seeing Jon Moxley come out with the Wild thing.
I'll be opposite. I love it. I just love it. I think because it gets a crowd into it. It makes me think of Sandman. It makes me think of, old school, like Diamond Dallas Page, like that type of, like, it hits you. And I think it takes a little bit to get into the Wild thing because they're using from the movie Major League. And it always took a little bit for that. Like, I feel like you need to wait a little bit for him to come out. So the crowd is singing it as he's coming out. Like he's kind of coming out, but the crowd is like, wait for it. But yeah, I mean, I can see your point. I like it better than his other theme personally, because I don't remember what his other theme sounds like anymore. And of course, it's better than his WWE theme. So, but I think he needs that, kind of audience participation type deal. But yeah, so anyway, sorry to interrupt, but I kind of wanted to throw that out there. I do like the Wild thing.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's just while he's running with Kingston, and then when he goes back to, being a lone wolf, that they give him his old music back. But I haven't done it with Orange Cassidy yet either, and I'm still mad about that. Anyway, like I said, great match, and then setting up the Texas Death Match with Archer. I'm liking him doing the. I love it. He's back on the road. He looks great. You see, he's been working out. He's, didn't show any of the, proverbial ring rust. Yeah. And, new Papa now that Similac doesn't pay for itself. No time to go back to work. Been there, done that. So I know what that's like. I haven't watched a Texas Death Match since the days of the old NWA, so it's going to be fun to see what they do with it. I'm saying that with some reservation, though, because of how they did his last gimmick match with the exploding barbed wire with Kenny Omega, and the fizzlers at the end, the sparklers. When the ring was supposed to explode or whatever. It was a great match until the end. And so hopefully they learn from their lesson from that time. And, it should be brutal, it should be violent, it should be bloody. Um, those were the old Texas death matches were, and they seem to be enjoying going back into the Wayback Machine and pulling out these old matches from yesteryear, like uh, the strap match and hitting all four corners, and going back to Japan to pull out the exploding barbed wire match, things like that. So with a Texas death match, it better look like a Texas death match. So it should be brutal, it should be violent, and it should be one of those good old come as you are bunkhouse brawl kind of fights. So I'm excited for it as long as they do it and pay it. It is due. And it's definitely one of those things that sets AEW aside apart from WWE. Is they're going back and doing these more classic matches, and they're living up to their potential in the ring. So I'm excited
and putting their own spin on it. Like they're, you got guys who could do more in the ring. No offense to those guys back then. It's probably a lot of punch, kick, clothesline, something like that. Power slam. But like the match, the strap match with Cody and QT Marshall getting all tied up in the good and, doing power slams from the top rope and all that. So, like you said, I want to see how it plays out. I mean, wouldn't surprise me if they open it up next week with it and just kind of, let it go. But Rick, speaking of not knowing which way the crowd would go, we had Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. I did not foresee Ricky Starks getting all the love from that crowd. I guess it was, it was a Texas crowd. I guess he's from Houston, but he defeats Brian Cage. I guess we kind of saw that coming. We saw Will Hobbs play a part in it. And now we got Brian Cage tweeting out, well, you ain't seen nothing yet. So we might see the Brian Cage that, we've all thought we could see. But how about that crowd response? Just, turning on Brian in a way, and all behind Ricky Starks, which I guess I should have saw coming. But at the same time, it's like we didn't know who to root for, because in this whole feud, we didn't know who to root for. It's like Charlotte and Rhea. You just don't know. There's too much gray. Sometimes, and we'll get to the next segment I want to bring up because we see black and white, but I think you need a little more. This guy's the heel, this guy's the face. And now I still wonder if we're going to see, I almost feel like, are we going to have to turn Brian Cage heel and turn Team Taz face because the crowd wants it? But who knows? And does Team Taz, I almost think too, does Team Taz need somebody else? Now that you dropped Brian Cage, I mean, you got Powerhouse Hobbs, is still, I think, waiting for that next step. We got Ricky Starks, who obviously proved it with that match. And we got his son Hook, who I think we've seen wrestle maybe once or twice. I don't remember. I think he's been on some AEW Dark or whatever, but Hook doesn't look ready. So does Team Taz need somebody else? But I don't know who that's going to be. So I threw a lot out to you, Greg. Tell your own thoughts on those whole Ricky Starks, Brian Cage stuff and Team Taz aspect of it.
Yeah, it kind of went the way I thought it would, with Cage being ousted from the group. They're all still clear villains, and this in-house fight that they were pushing it as was just talk, and we could see that Cage is the one who goes opposite of the way of the group, and so it only makes sense that they came together to take him out. As far as helping Starks get the win, I'm going to credit the crowd response to him being a hometown boy or whatever, which is going to be the great thing about having crowds back. If you don't know what side of the pole you're on, the audience is going to tell you. And it could be like Philadelphia, where they love to root for the bad guys. It could be this could be Texas for Ricky Starks, but
that's true.
I think that now Cage is the clear face, and the Team Taz is still the heels, and that sets the table for their next upcoming months going against each other. They definitely need to fill Cage's spot, because standing next to Starks, in a straight up one-on-one match, Cage would take it. Hobbs would be a more interesting match, and Hook is definitely not ready. So if I was Taz, I'd definitely be looking around to pull somebody else into the fold. And so I agree with you on that. But it sets the groundwork for another good rivalry. And now we can look around and see if we can get a couple guys to stand by Cage. Otherwise, he's going to be in for weeks and weeks and weeks of 3-1, 4-1 beatdowns. So, maybe it's time to bring up some guys from Dark, or let a new hot free agent join him.
That's what I'm. Yeah, and like you said, I guess I could see the lines, but then again, you wonder if crowds will follow that Texas crowd and just start cheering on Ricky Starks, because you know how people are. People are sheep. So if they hear one reaction, they want to try to do that. It's probably going to take Taz really calling out stuff, but even then, I feel like people want to cheer Taz, because Taz is at this point in his career. I feel like he's in that Triple H role where I don't think we want to root against him, because he's obviously, his wrestling days are way far behind him. And it's like, why would you want to boo him? Because we know what he's done for the business. We know what he's all about. So I'll be interested to see, personally, I wouldn't be surprised if Ricky Starks keeps getting cheered, because I just don't know if people buy Brian Cage as much as we think.
He still gets the ECW respect, and but Ricky Starks, the guy's awesome, and wasn't he a big deal on the Indies too? So he could be getting.
And he can heal it up when he needs to, and that's probably what's going to take. It's probably going to take him really healing it up some crap. Like I hate usually the cheap heel tactic is go against the crowd, but I almost feel like you'll need to, just because you want if we wanted to find those roles, you'll need to. But the next part I want to bring up was Cody Rhodes and Malachi Black. We know exactly, and I even loved it, Greg. Visually, you had Cody in all white, and you had Malachi in all black. I mean, it's such a simple thing. I didn't really care for the story that Malachi Black. This is once again where you give guys creative control, but you also think, okay, you want to reel in a little bit. Like the story part, I was like, where's this going? Like, just come out. And I really joked. I'm like, oh God, he's probably going to be with some door, isn't he? Like he's going to be like, come knock on my door, like he, before. But he came right out, and then we got the pull apart brawl. It looked like Cody got him pretty good for real too, because he kept wiping the nose or something. But I think this really, I don't know what we'll get out of these guys, because apparently Cody Rhodes is going to have to film the Big Show 2, that whatever that what was the earlier show he did with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah,
that's
the
Big
Show
or another. The real is whatever it's called. It's probably a show I never watched, as you could tell. But people must have watched it because it's being renewed for a second season. And I will say too, it's funny to see that Brandy Rhodes has been on the road with Cody, because she takes pictures backstage, and so their baby is on the road already. So the baby Rhodes is already learning the ropes of the road. So I don't know what kind of matches we'll get out of these guys. I feel like there's probably going to be some stipulation attached to everything, but this is where we know who to root for, we know who to boo, and visually it just looks right. The all black, like it's going to be fun to see what Malachi will do as his wrestling gear. Like, will he just have some all black, outfit to kind of represent that? It's weird because it's good and evil, but in a way, Malachi probably thinks he's in the right. like Kevin Owens back in the day as a heel. Kevin Owens always thought he was in the right. But so, Greg, this is one feud that is just doing it right visually, emotionally, physically. Everything is working here. And who would have thought? I almost feel like Malachi Black is already steps ahead of Andrade, who's been there for about a month, and Malachi's only been there 2 weeks, which is kind of funny. It almost shows too the creative side of what you can do. Like Andrade, I don't know if he has that creative mind like Malachi Black. So have at it though. Give me your own thoughts on this segment.
Yep, loved it. And like I said, make no bones about it. I loved Black's since his debut in NXT, and this is time to really shine. Like I said, the paradox of black in the ring with their suits and everything was an awesome visual. It was, very simple and effective. And now you're looking forward to, what kind of matches they're going to have. And the timing that you mentioned with him having to go off to film the Go Big Show, which I did watch a few episodes. It was decent. It was, variety show of pretty much like circus carnival acts. But, it was half an hour of mindless entertainment. And with that timing, though, it would be help put Black over even more if he, takes him out,
yeah.
And builds his profile while Cody disappears after taking some heinous, beat down or attack after the match, or something that writes him off. And now he's already big. Right now, just 2 weeks in, he takes out Cody and he goes into the stratosphere of being, top guy heel. And, he can speak on that more and get himself over with the crowd. And, we all know who he is. We all love him. And, he's going to shine on this stage. So it's hard to screw this up. So I think that, the story writes itself, and, we want to see Black, get to a top spot because they need more, top guys. They have too many mid-card guys, and, more names need to get elevated.
That's true. And like we said, after, he's on a high level now. So what will you do to follow it up? Because that's going to be the telling sign as well, like if you could carry the momentum. Really good segment next was Hangman's segment with the Dark Order and the Elite. So we're going to get a 5-on-5 survivor or elimination match. If Hangman and Dark Order win, everybody gets their title shots. If the Elite wins, nobody gets their title shots. But that's what we need. We needed those stakes. I don't know when this is. I'm guessing. I wonder if it might happen at Fight of the Fallen, or maybe right. It feels like it'll happen sooner rather than later. But really good segment to set that up. We did see Britt Baker and Nyla Rose talk to each other, but I didn't really find anything intriguing about that. It just same old. And I thought it's very telling that you have Nyla and Vicky Guerrero talking in the backstage and not even out there. But anyway, but the Hangman Elite stuff was a really strong segment. And like we said, we needed something to set up. Why is Hangman? Because Hangman is number 2 or number 1, whatever he is in the ranking. So he's earned a title shot, but also you don't want Kenny Omega just to give him that title shot. So I'm going to be interested to see how this 5-on-5 plays out. I almost feel like this is what the Inner Circle Pinnacle needed. So now I don't know what they'll do because we still feel like they need some closure. But this should be, and of course you could go the opposite end. You could have the Elite win and still try to make Hangman go through some ropes, pun intended, to get back, maybe for All Out. Because like we said, I feel like it has to happen at All Out. I don't think you'll have a better, hotter crowd, a better time to put Hangman over. But so Greg, let me know your own thoughts on this segment with the Elite and the Dark Order along with Hangman Page, Adam Page.
Yeah, Didn't like it at the beginning, just because the Dark Order versus the Elites seems like such a huge mismatch. And but with Page being involved, and he's kind of been, more or less involved with Dark Order as time's gone by, and only until recently it seems like, okay, these are my guys, kind of, um, train of thought. But even now, it doesn't seem like he's that in league with him. They have his back. I don't know if he has their back as much. But with this match, he's tied himself, 100% into the fold, and putting his title shot on the line as well as theirs. That's the stakes we want to see. And for other people like me, you see the Dark Order is, pretty much a hapless goon squad. Now they're gonna have to put down a great match to beat the Elite without getting, run over 5-1. Because Hangman Page is gonna hang. What are the others gonna do? So love the stakes. Look forward to having to the match. I hope you're right that it happens at Fight for the Fallen, because after that last show, I went out onto AEW Tix and I bought my ticket for the Charlotte Coliseum, Bojangles Coliseum on the 28th, which has been billed as the night for Fight for the Fallen. Yep.
Okay.
So I will be there in the building to see it. So I hope that's where that match drops, because it'd be awesome to see that match that night. But I've been loving the the crowd reaction. That energy comes through the screen, and look forward to seeing my first AEW show live. I was noticing all the other shows are getting themes, Road Rager and stuff like this, and like, well, the Charlotte date doesn't get those special tag.
But now you do.
Now it is. It's the Fight for the Fallen. I think last year's Fight for the Fallen was really, really good. So now that pushed me to go ahead and buy my ticket. So I'll be in the building that night for whatever's going on. So looking forward to seeing what happens with it. But
and I feel like either way. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, this match is going to be definitely raise the stakes, raise the profile of Dark Order beyond what they are portrayed as right now. So maybe not on the level of the Elite, but moving up towards the level of the Elite. So,
and I was gonna say, you could almost have somebody from the Dark Order win the match, and that gives the title shot for Hangman. Or you could go the opposite: Hangman wins the match, and he gets the title shot for himself in Dark Order. And either way, you've tied it together. And then, it feels like if somebody from Dark Order wins the match, that raises their level.
Right.
But I don't know which guy. I mean, I feel like it could be Evil Uno, just because he seems the one that wants to speak up for Hangman. But either way, it should be interesting to kind of tell which direction they'll go with it. So, I mean, I feel like it's going to be Hangman and Dark Order winning, but you could throw a swerve and try to still make him go through hoops. How about this match? Christian Cage defeated Matt Hardy in 2021 on an episode of AEW Dynamite. I thought Hardy would win because I don't know. Christian is just kind of I'm just not feeling him at all in AEW. I feel like you talk about collecting a paycheck. I think he's just there to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe show that he can still go, and he can. But this really didn't spark anything for me. And I feel like in Christian winning, it's like, okay, well, he beat Matt Hardy. What, now he's just to move on. Like, I guess he did get taken out in Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus had to come out there to help him. But, I don't think this did anything this didn't want me to fight again. Did it do anything for you to make you feel like, oh, I got to see these guys fight again, or any reason for the feud to continue?
No, there isn't. It's a waste of TV time, really. We're nostalgic as wrestling fans, but none of us wanted to see that. Matt Hardy versus Christian. Maybe if it's Jeff, we'd tell a little bit of a different story. But the match was, blah. There's really no end game with it. So I'm just hoping that this chapter is over. Matt Hardy can go back to being the slimy car salesman that he is on screen right now. And I haven't been excited about Christian since he was with Edge.
Yeah.
And I hate it that he comes out to Evanescence music. So, I hope they both go away. But we can move Christian away from that and get away from the the old timers reunion. Maybe put him back into the eventual program with Jungle Boy, where he turns on Jungle Boy, and it leads to some matches that were actually interesting. If he's going to outwork everyone, outwork somebody who's better than Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy who's been around for 30 years. Go beat a new young Go Hard with Jungle Boy, and then come talk to me. But until then, Matt and Christian can disappear from my screen, and I'll be a happy man.
And it always felt like Matt Hardy was on another level anyway. I don't think these guys have ever been I've never felt them on an equal footing. Like Matt Hardy and Edge, you could see, but like Matt Hardy and Christian, we just don't. We knew, I know Christian got his run in 2011. Him and Randy Orton, that run was really good. But other than that, what else has Christian done? It's other than, there was that, his stuff in TNA, I guess, was a pretty good run for him. And, the stuff with Jericho, their little tag team with Trish Stratus and that little feud. But if you're nostalgic, we're just going to throw on TLC from back in the day. TLC 2
right.
And the TIT, the Terry Invitational title or tournament. So yeah, if I'm nostalgic for Christian, I'll just put on my Peacock and go to WWE and type in Christian's name. But right now, I'm not nostalgic for Christian at any means. So Sammy Guevara defeated Yuta Wheeler. Good match for Sammy Guevara to get back in. We'll also talk about Inner Circle. So we're going to get a match that is going to be Shawn Spears and Chris Jericho. Shawn Spears can use a chair. Chris Jericho can't. That's the more intriguing part. And whatever, Sammy Guevara won. But so, Greg, let me have your own thoughts on the chair match for Shawn Spears to use the chair, but Chris Jericho cannot use the chair.
Interesting. And, it fits among what we would expect for one of the trials to be. And we, can see how it's going to go. He'll swing, he'll miss. Jericho will hit the Judas, get the win, and maybe use the match or the chair on him after the match. Because once the bell rings, anything is fair game. Right. So, and maybe then he wears out Shawn Spears and the crowd goes wild. So, but like the stipulation, it fits into the theme of, the trials of Jericho. And it's a good first step. So, looking forward to see what happens with it. But I think that's what we're going to see.
Yeah. And like I said, Sammy Guevara picks up the win to kind of get himself back going in the right direction. Sakazaki beat Penelope Ford. Nothing. I thought Penelope might pick up the win there, but she didn't. And I guess it's because, we haven't seen I don't know how it's her name. But anyways, Yumi. No Kip Sabian out there with Penelope Ford. I think he's on the shelf for a little bit of time, so nothing really there. But let's go to the coffin match. I thought I really enjoyed it. We had Scorpion Sky coming out of the coffin. We had Sting chase him off, And then, of course, we just let Darby Allin, Ethan Page just go at each other. Ethan Page, of course, eats the L. And then Darby, just for shits and giggles, decides to go coffin drop through the coffin into Ethan Page, which I love that that closing shot. Really solid match. They pulled out all the different things. I thought this is probably the best I've seen of Ethan Page in my time watching him. And Darby just continues to amaze me in what he can do and puts his body through. I think he's 24 or 25 maybe. And Ethan Page is, I don't know if he's even 30 yet. So it's two guys that, like I said, we had Sammy Guevara and MJF go at it a couple weeks ago. So I finally feel like AEW's like, okay, we're just going to give our young guys the time in main events. Let's finally give, it's time to get away from, whatever main events we have been doing, but time to let these guys just go out there and do it. And Darby Allin and Ethan Page, they've worked together on the indies, and you could see that they had a lot of comfort level with each other to do whatever, and they did. So, and I liked Scorpion Sky and Sting being involved. Obviously, that made sense. So, really good Indy 2, Fyter Fest Night 1. I forget what's on tap for Fyter Fest 2, but we'll preview that as we go throughout the week. So,
yeah, great match. Loved the coffin match, and I agree. This could be something huge that sets AEW aside from WWE, who are leaving their 40-plus guys at the top of the card, and AEW, who's showing their young go-hards who are, hungry and, ever improving, at the top of the card. It's our sign that this is what you're going to have to look forward to 5 years down the road. These guys are brand new right now. They're going to be even better. Their game is going to get stronger as they go, as opposed to 40-something-year-old Bobby Lashley. I don't know if this really age, but the guys at the top of the cards are in their 40s, and their game's on the way down. This is where we're different, and hopefully that kind of thing is going to force WWE to do the same thing and start elevating the young guys to compete with them, because if that gap gets bigger, then they won't have a choice. So otherwise they're going to fall into Monday Night War categories where they're going to be getting beat in the ratings every week. And I hope it happens, because it's going to force their creative to get better. But I love what AEW is doing with the young guys. They have plenty of them to go around, plus all of the guys from Japan who are mixing in, the guys from other promotions who are, coming in. They're a breeding ground for young stars right now. And that's what we want to see, something different, something new. Names that we haven't been hearing for the last 20 years, getting that run at the top. We're definitely missing it on WWE TV. It's great to see it happening somewhere. So I'm definitely bought in for AEW doing it and, pushing the envelope that way.
Because even the Young Bucks are like mid-30s now, which is funny to think, because they're still called the Young Bucks. But so we'll see what Fyter Fest Night 2 brings, and then of course Fight for the Fallen, and just working our way to All Out. I'm really excited for All Out, because Chicago is such a hotbed, and I think that crowd's going to eat up everything that night. So fingers crossed we still make it to that point. But cases are starting to go up now, and places are canceling stuff, but that's a whole nother conversation. So on to SmackDown last night in front of a crowd. What is the first person who gets the first big pop of the night? Vince McMahon. And then he goes, "Where the hell have you been?" And I was like, okay. But then we kick off the night. Roman Reigns, the Usos defeating Edge, Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio. I still think Dominic Mysterio must be literally pitching himself to think of who he's got to work with in this, year and a half a year. I guess it's going to be a year in SummerSlam because he worked Seth Rollins at last year's SummerSlam. I mean, think about what guys Dominic Mysterio has got to work with. We want to talk about nepotism, but anyways, so we saw we saw Roman totally destroy that bar, almost almost ruined it because he just kicked it so hard and bent it. And then we see Edge put that on him, turn it around. And we also saw Edge and Seth Rollins, which is the big rumor. And obviously now it's probably not as much as a rumor that SummerSlam is probably Edge and Seth Rollins, which is good because that touches upon when Edge, was kind of when John Cena wanted the match out of Seth Rollins, and we had Seth Rollins almost taking out Edge's neck. But so it's good to see we see see where things are going for SummerSlam. Roman getting booed. I was hoping Roman would talk because I really wanted to see what the crowd would react to him, but they really didn't give anybody promo time. They just wanted the guys out there. And I thought it was good probably just to throw a match out there first, let the crowd get into it, let the crowd eat it up. And Edge got that good pop. You could tell Edge, because that was where the Royal Rumble happened, where he came back. So interesting kind of, crowds are back for the first time, and he got his big pop back there. So, but like I said, good match. We saw all the pieces moving the right way. Roman, Edge obviously taking out Roman at the end. Edge is going to lose on Sunday. I mean, that that was already a conclusion, but now it's even more so. So, Greg, have at it. What do you think? Crowd's back. First start of the night. We already talked about Vince McMahon and him getting the first real pop, which of course, but anyways, good match though to start the night, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. On all that, I've been loving seeing the crowds back. Watching the AEW programming for 2 weeks now. It's a huge difference.
Yeah.
And pretty much anything goes with those guys. As far as be tuning in and checking it out. I had big expectations for WWE in their first match in front of an arena again. I was looking at it, grading it on 3 different parameters. Number 1, we're going to see new faces. 2, we're going to see new storylines. 3, are we going to get new presentation? As far as how is this setup going to be? Are they going to change the open so that it doesn't seem like the same show we've been tuning into for the last year and a half? And they started with a montage of the crowd popping for different iconic moments. Edge at the Royal Rumble, or Miz Girl when Miz won the championship, or the heist.
I wonder
of
what
the
that girl's
century,
up to
different.
now.
Right, where is she now?
Like, they need to, where is she now in her? Because she's probably got to be like 20-ish now.
Man.
So it's like, but anyways.
That was the greatest mean face ever. I never saw that picture of the guy who's crying, his tears are streaming down his face, and the Undertaker's doing something in the ring. Maybe when the Undertaker's retired.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one either. Yeah.
I always remember the guy with the Just Say No shirt, and his eyes are bugging out when
that was at WrestleMania 30. Yep.
Yeah,
and that guy, he blew up afterwards, so he's been around on different social media stuff. So,
but
the Miz girl was too early.
Montage,
Greg, the Miz girl was too early, because if she's a few years later, she might be a YouTube star or Twitter. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like she was they were right on that cusp of the internet was like, it was obviously a thing. But, I don't think Twitter was as big, or, like talking about, social media aspect. But, yeah, the Miz girl's probably kicking herself like, man, this happens a few years later. People might not wonder where I'm at, though. I'll tell them where I'm at, because we don't know where she's at now. But, yeah.
Right. But,
I kind of thought they'd open real quick. I thought they'd open up with the Fatal 4-Way as well. And I was kind of surprised that they switched it. But like I said, I think this is the bigger storyline. So you might as well get the bigger action out of the way and get the crowd really invested.
True. True. Um, but yeah, so I got to give them a pass on the whole open bit because of the fan montage. Um, but I do hope the new staging and all that stuff, uh, cool. But I would like to see them change the opening presentation so it looks like we're getting a new show. Um, and having Vince come out first, dude still gets the biggest pop of the night almost. Um, and Vince being Vince, gotta love it. And then having Roman be the next guy out, and I turned my surround sound up so I can catch the pops everybody's getting or the boos everybody's getting as they come out, so I can kind of see where everybody is. And like you said, I was wondering, are they going to boo Roman as we expect, or are they going to cheer him because now they're getting what they want, and his character has been so strong and the TV has been so compelling that he's going to get respect and love for it. So um,
he got some boos though.
he did, and um, that was what I expected, and they're playing along with the storyline and booing him. Um, and then the Mysterio's huge pop, Edge even bigger, probably the biggest pop of the night.
Yeah, I think Edge had
trying to
that.
follow
Yep.
along. hmm and it was play setter match, nothing spectacular, but everybody got their stuff in, and it was a match we'd expect for the go home show for a pay-per-view. So good start, and I'm interested to see what they're going to do next week, with a pay-per-view behind them, and um, really resetting the table, moving forward, post-pandemic era now.
Because we'll be on the road to SummerSlam, so we gotta build that up. Sami Zayn came out there and talked up about the crowd and all that, and we saw a surprise. I did not foresee Finn Balor coming back to the main roster. I thought we talked up maybe a small UK run, then back to NXT. Hopefully, well, I guess, and maybe he knows what to expect, so he's like, well, I'll just roll with it, and whatever they give me, I'll make the most of it. But I think Finn Balor and Sami Zayn, and you think down the road Finn Balor and Nakamura, whew, like that just gives me
Right.
that gives me chills. Like even if both guys are faces, you still want to see that match. So, Finn Balor, Cesaro. I mean, maybe Finn Balor and the Alpha Cat. I mean, I think he'll be a better fit on SmackDown. I feel like he's probably more needed on Raw just because they need star power, but he's probably a better fit and probably feels more comfortable on SmackDown. So, yeah, Greg, what do you think? Finn Balor coming back, because like we said, we didn't think he was going to be on the main roster anytime soon.
Right, but at the same time, I've been wondering where has Finn Balor been,
Yeah.
and there's been I thought maybe he'd pop up on UK and challenge Walter, but he's been off TV for a while. It's been time for him to fade out of consciousness, and when he pops back up, then it is a big surprise, and this was that moment. Um, I loved it, considering the opponent, considering the timing, love it. And I'm hoping that he gets to keep that swag that he had in NXT, and not become, back
Watered
to,
down.
yeah, the watered down Finn Balor. Um, let him keep that edge that he found in NXT, bring that with him, um, and go from there. Playing to the audience with the lights and the music. He wasn't doing that down there, so it makes me a little nervous. But as long as he gets to keep, what he found down there, he'll be fine. Um, he definitely, raised the bar, with his appearance alone, and to get all those juicy matchups is really exciting. So I'm optimistic and cautious at the same time because we love Finn so much that he deserves top guy status and top guy level matches.
He had some pop on that coup de grace because he almost missed it. It looked like so. He definitely he looked jazzed up for it. So and like I said, absolutely. I think him and Sami Zayn will tear each other apart, and I think that's a good. Shotzi and Nox defeated the women's tag team champions Natalya and Tamina, and also we had Liv Morgan. I joked. I put a tweet saying whoever was producing her mic probably had to keep turning it down because I bet it was in the red half the time when she talks. And you also had Zelina Vega out there. Obviously, they get into it. You had Shotzi and Nox win. You had Liv Morgan stand tall at the end of it. So, Greg, you know what I'm going to say. Cross off Liv Morgan. So now we've eliminated Liv Morgan and Nikki Ash from my predictions because I just can't see Liv Morgan standing tall now and then. But anyways, good match. This is supposed to be not Natalya and Shotzi, but I think I like it better as the tag team, contender match. And I love that they talked that up. I mean, I'm all in on Shotzi and Nox. I'd probably just say pull the trigger on them winning because you already have Natalya and Tamina in the women's in the Money in the Bank ladder match, which we won't even get into why is Tamina in there because there's no reason for her to be in there or Natalya, but whatever. So I'm marking them off the list as well as possible. My list is narrowing down of who I think is going to win thanks to process of elimination. But Greg, have at it. This whole women's segment, like I said, Liv Morgan on the mic, like, man, I was just like, ooh, I got to turn down my stuff, bro, or whatever she kept saying. It's fine because that's who she is, but I just found it funny. Like, I hate to be that producer guy, like, okay, got to turn down the level a little bit more because she keeps yelling into the mic. It's like a hot mic. But, So, Greg, have at it. All the moving pieces in this women's division right there.
Yeah, Liv's just nervous. I'm sure that's all it is. It was pretty hilarious. She was succeeding on a Vicky Guerrero level. It is what it is. I don't understand why Shotzi and Tegan needed a contenders match when they just beat them the week before. And there's no other team in the match. Usually that's how it goes. You beat the champs, you get a championship match. But apparently you have to beat the champs twice now. Mm-hmm. So, it is what it is. They needed to, fill a little bit of time and I guess give Tegan and Shotzi, time in front of the live crowd to see how they would react is the only way I can justify making them having the same match twice. And then, you have to involve the other principal characters with Zelina and Liv down there getting in the way of the match and all that. So sooner we can get to this match, the better.
Do you pull the trigger on a tag team title switch already, Greg, or do you think we need to play it out? I mean, I feel like just strike it. Like, what do you have to lose? I mean, I feel like you've already, brought down the tag team titles as much anyway. What is it going to hurt it anymore if Tegan and Shotzi have it? And I think it'd be fine with them because they can work both shows, and it gives you more women to work on both shows.
Absolutely. I say go ahead and do it. Natalya and Tamina don't have that
star power,
it factor.
Yes.
You don't feel them the way we already feel, Tegan Nox and Shotzi. They have more of that it factor about them. And I think they would get over bigger than Natty and Tamina, who we've seen for decades, and they've had their moment. They got their first championship or tag team championships and everything.
Tamina's first title ever. We'll get that. We can mark her off her list.
Right. So
and one
now
real quick,
the new girls.
I was gonna say with Natalya, doesn't she always feel like she's forced? I never get like Natalya's comfortable with what she's delivering. Like there's a few times, but it's not very often. And that's my problem with Ember Moon in NXT. I feel like Ember Moon feels the same way. Like they know what they can do in the ring, but character-wise, I feel like they're never confident or comfortable with it. So that's always been my problem with Natalya. Like I don't get the person. It feels too forced for me. So
yeah, I agree with that. I know I watched the first, I'm gonna say 4, maybe 5 seasons of Total Divas, and from that I can tell that who Natty is portraying in the ring is not who she is in real life, and she would do better playing into that more. Her off stage personality. I know she's more like a mom, dead mother kind of thing.
Yes,
but there's more that she could be doing with that. Heart colors, but coming out wearing the spikes and things like that. That's not her. And then, like you said, Ember, kind of the same thing. Who is she really? Going back and coming back as the same character pretty much with the
wolf skull or whatever that is.
Right. The pelts and the apocalyptic thing that she's trying to do is not working. And that's why she's not getting over with us, because she's not believable. Her ring work is fine. Love the Eclipse, but her whole overall presentation is lacking, and that's because the other half of it is the persona, the creativity, the gear, everything is one big package. And if we're not buying part of it, we're not going to buy all of it.
I know people mocked Finn Balor when there was that little NXT stuff with him, like going back to play Legos. And I'm like, you know what? Like, if that's who he is, that's who he is. Like, I want to see that kind of side of them. And like you said, it's funny because Natalya's not even a mom because, she doesn't have any kids or anything, but she does seem like the den mother of the division type deals. So Bianca Belair, of course, defeated Carmella. Bianca's over. I mean, now we finally see it with the crowd, the hair whip. I was very surprised we did see Sasha Banks. I'm going to assume next Friday we probably see her. I think we got to get Sasha and Bianca for SummerSlam. It sounds like as well there might be a rematch between Carmella and Bianca. Maybe they'll say Bianca can't use her hair type deal, and maybe Carmella uses against her or something. But I thought a solid match. I think, Carmella's looked better in the ring. The Hurricanrana was a little bit slow off the get-go from the top rope deal, but I just wanted to see Bianca with the crowd because I think she was the one that was really missing the crowd reaction, and just needing that crowd to help her, and it showed. So, but like I said, I think for SummerSlam you probably got to go Bianca and Sasha, and do a rematch there. So, Greg, your own thoughts on Bianca and Carmella there?
Yep, it was a good match. Enjoyed the match. Love hearing Bianca's pop because I love Bianca, and seeing how she got over with the fans, just in the sense that she hasn't changed much from her heel character to being a babyface character, and seeing how she would be, how they react to her has been important, I'm sure, to them as much as to us. And now we see she's 1,000% babyface, and she should conduct herself accordingly as far as her promos, her ring style, And I think the whole hair whip thing should be saved for like special occasions only. It can't become a staple.
Her thing.
At WrestleMania against Sasha, yeah, absolutely. But in a SmackDown match with Carmella, no. And I get it, it's first night back, but I don't want to see that every week. Otherwise, I totally expect some heel character to sneak up on her with a pair of garden shears and snap.
And I get it. And like last night, I think you could play it off because you had Carmella try to use her hair against her. It's like when you bring the chair into the ring, and usually if you bring the chair, you get it used against you. So, but like you said, it can't be all the time. It can be sparingly. And like we said, if the heel tries to take advantage of it first, I think I can kind of buy it. So, any other thoughts on? Sorry to interrupt your thoughts, but did you have any other thoughts on that end?
No, good match, and definitely got Bianca over it in a great positive light. So, but yeah, it would make sense that after the pay-per-view, next SmackDown, we get the return of Sasha and we start building that program.
Because that's all. I just don't know what else you could. I mean, we know Bayley's out forever, 9 months approximately. They keep saying approximately. I think they want Bayley probably to try to come back like next week or something. But she did tweet out a picture. She went to surgery, so that can't be good. If you have surgery, you're definitely down for some time. But anyway, so well, Greg, I'm gonna pour one out for Cesaro's run at the top there because
tip your 40.
Him and Otis had a match, and I mean I get it. We're building up Otis. I like the different presentation of Otis. Some people hate it. I still feel like you need something else with the Alpha Academy, like the 2-person thing. If it's a academy, it feels like it should be more people. And I was waiting for Adam Cole to come out and help Cesaro because Cesaro brought up boneheaded play, and they always say that in the Uno games that they play online. I know that's behind the scenes stuff, but anyways, I felt like Cesaro needed somebody to come out there to save him because you were getting that feel, and nobody did. Maybe they're saving it, but anyways. But Cesaro, it was fun at the top, or it was fun while you got some rub. Maybe you'll see the light of day, but yeah, I think he's where he's at now, and I was hoping not, and last night pretty much just proved it that he is he's back to the lower mid card, if we even want to call it that. And I just, like we said, I guess we'll see if somebody does team up with Cesaro to go against Otis and Chad Gable, because obviously he needs it. But so Greg, do you want to lament the downfall of Cesaro? You could give your own toast to Cesaro getting degraded or demoted, as it were.
Yeah. I'm tipping my 42, just splashing on the sidewalk. It's
whatever Cesaro drink of choice is. Coffee. He loves his coffee, so I'll pour out a black coffee for him.
There you go. Some Folgers for Cesaro. Some heart say goodbye in the background. It's a shame because he deserves
music. More. Or the Sarah McLachlan in the arms of. We'll have the dogs, the sad dogs. We'll put Cesaro. I need to do that. That might be my video project this weekend, Greg. Cesaro's like just all over that Sarah McLachlan music. I need to write that down because that's pretty much where we're. 1-800 save Cesaro. But anyways, let's talk about Sad Corbin though. Speaking of downtrodden, have you donated to Corbin's Fund yet, Greg?
That check's in the mail. Yeah, it's coming.
Maybe I should put him and Cesaro in the arms of the angel Sarah McLachlan song. I'll have a new. But hey, we got Kevin Owens to give him a stunner. I would have laughed if they would have had like Kevin Owens like drop $1 on him. I think that would have been a really funny, put in his shirt or something. But yeah, Kevin Owens comes out there and saves the day. I think it's the Corbin's Fun thing. It's actually a website. It's just a web page. It doesn't show any money. It just shows donate. But some people joke they're like he should have said like $100 or something like that, like some really dumb amount that probably would have been easily achievable. You say 100,000, I guess that's believable. But if he says like $1,000, you feel like, oh, he could actually reach that. But anyway, so I'm sure they'll have maybe next week they'll have him come out and maybe he'll do these old school like you remember the thermometers that they used to do
right
like at schools, and like maybe he could have a whiteboard and like, oh, I've gotten $1 and whatnot. But any thoughts on Corbin's Fund? And I mean, it's something.
Yeah, he's still getting TV time for a reason. It's going somewhere, and they're doing a great slow burn on this to unveil the new Corbin character. You already have too many, $1 million superstars down in NXT.
We need a downtrodden or one.
I don't see them copying that template here on Raw, or on SmackDown. But
could you call up Cameron Grimes and have him like a benefactor? He could be the benefactor. Maybe Corbin gets the fun and we don't know who it is, and then Cameron, like, especially if you have Cameron Grimes like himself and Corbin maybe as the heel still, the face heel, that could be a different dynamic to it.
But yeah.
I mean,
but
you feel like you're gonna have somebody, somehow Corbin gets the money and we just won't know who it is. Watch it be McAfee. Maybe they'll have McAfee do it, because McAfee's really, busting his chops a lot.
Right, but that's the thing. He's been dancing on Corbin's grave with Nakamura and Boogs, kicking his butt, and he is the more over the top that McAfee gets, the more I'm enjoying it. So when Boogs is out there playing out Nakamura, he's dancing on the desk and being like the ultimate fanboy. It's hilarious to me. So, but it would be an interesting little twist. I've been kicking you while you're down, but here's
here's
$100,000 of pocket change that I had in my Corvette. Here you go.
And his belt buckle. That belt buckle last night McAfee had on, he probably could sell that for a couple thousand right there. I was hoping McAfee would come out with a cowboy hat. I mean, he had the bolo tie, the belt buckle, the black. I mean, he was Johnny Cash. He was the rhinestone cowboy there rocking. So, and then what did he?
That's true.
He was standing on the table during Nakamura's entrance. One of these days, he's going to fall back on Michael Cole, and it's going to be hilarious. But so the last match of the night, Seth Rollins gets the win and then climbs up and grabs the case. So mark him off the list. That was my favorite. And I'm like, well, it's not going to be Seth Rollins now. And then how about Kevin Owens doing the big ladder spot that knocks out the cameraman? Like that legit, like that cameraman starts falling back. I mean, unless that was Kevin Dunn's, production call, but the cameraman takes off. So really good, solid match between these guys. I thought maybe Owens would win it just because I don't think Kevin Owens is winning on Sunday. So I thought Kevin Owens or Nakamura would be your winner, but Seth Rollins wins, and that really throws my prediction all in a loop for Sunday.
Well, yeah, this pushes Big E up to the top of my SmackDown pecking order for this match. So I'm agree with you. With Seth getting up there and putting his hands on it, okay, he's not going to get it. They're giving us a glimpse of what it would look like if he did get it. So now he's not going to get it. Nakamura, no. So is Big E from the SmackDown side, on my opinion. So
it's probably Big E and Drew right now. I mean, the top two.
Right.
But then Drew is so involved with gender, it's like, I mean, they might just shock. I mean, it might be a legit shock to see who's going to grab this. But like we said, I think they need to actually use it the right way this year. Don't have the Otis thing. I mean, the Asuka thing was almost because, timing because of Becky. Come on, her and Seth, we got to work on that timing thing. But, Becky's been working out those.
Of Big E clouding Paul Heyman backstage too.
Yes,
so.
And that is good foreshadowing. Like, I wonder if that's more than that than we need, And that's why I'm like, well, maybe it's not Big E because that's like throwing it out there too. Like, do you make it that easy? So, but let's take a quick commercial break before we get into Money in the Bank, because obviously we are ready to talk it up because Money in the Bank it's one of my favorite. And Greg, today is the anniversary. 10 years ago, CM Punk defeating John Cena in Chicago. Nice. That moment for me was like, whew, like I still go back to watch that. I mean, I could watch that every other week. So it's funny to think that today is the anniversary of that. Let's get some realty talk, because after CM Punk won that, I'm sure he bought a nice condo apartment in Chicago. He put the title in the refrigerator, as it were. So everybody was recreating that. So Sean Nugent is our Rockstar Realtor, and let's do a little pay the bills time with him.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy Dan over at BWSPORTS1.com and Black and White Sports. And I'm wondering if you're ready to buy or sell that home, now's the time, and I got just the person for you. Mr. Sean Nugent, a.k.a. Rockstar Realtor himself. 317-503-8322. Put that home on the market. Get into your dream home with this man. Talk to Sean at Talk to Tucker today. 317-503-8322. And make sure you tell him the boys over at BWSPORTS1.com sent you.
And I forgot, we got one more commercial break we need to take because we got to get some energy going for this last segment. I'll let you see the lovely card there for Money in the Bank real quick so we can get our energy going. RogueEnergy.com is your big thing for energy. And all right, so got all those lovely ads out of the way. Thank you to all of the sponsors: Elite Performance, Sean Nugent, Rogue Energy. There's a bunch, Carma Coin. There's plenty that is showing up in our streams. So, but Money in the Bank, back in front of a crowd. We had WrestleMania in front of a crowd. Now we got a nice live crowd. I think they're going to pop for everything tomorrow night. But first, let's go. I think this is going to be a kickoff show. It wouldn't surprise me if they move it to the the big show, but we're getting the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Rey and Dominic Mysterio versus the Usos. Greg, my official prediction is the Mysterio family. I think the Usos, though, win the titles either this Friday night on SmackDown or the next one. Like, I think they want the Usos to win on SmackDown and celebrate with Roman, or Roman helps them win it. But I think ultimately this week, tomorrow night, the Mysterio families win. Do you have any other conflicting thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do. If it's a pre-show match, then yeah, I got the Mysterios winning. If it's on the card, the pay-per-view card, then I think the Usos win. So that's going to be the caveat. Where's this match? If nobody's going to see it, then the Mysterios are going to win. But if this is what the rest of the card, um, then the Usos are going to win, and we're going to carry everything over into SmackDown.
Yeah, and that's where I'm going my next. So the Raw Tag Team Championship, AJ and Omos versus the Viking Raiders. We just split them singles wise. I think this is AJ Styles and Omos, but I think the next night there's a rematch. I think the Viking Raiders get it on Monday Night Raw. So I'm calling AJ Styles and Omos to win tomorrow night, but I think ultimately the Viking Raiders are getting those titles. I just think it makes more sense. We could get the Viking Raiders back to where they need to be. So, Greg, who are you calling for tomorrow night in the Raw Tag Team Championship match?
I'm calling for Viking Raiders, and then start a new chapter on Raw.
Yeah.
And I get it, beat the champs and then beat them in the rematch. But maybe they can do them both back to back, and they get their immediate rematch and they still lose. So otherwise, we have to keep this program going because the champs, are not getting their rematch. So I think the Viking Raiders take it and then beat him in the rematch with some kind of malfunction with Styles and Almost happening that causes their split.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then we're going to kind of get our championship matches here go, and then we'll do the Money in the Bank matches last because it's Money in the Bank. So next up, why don't we just do it? WWE Champion Bobby Lashley, Kofi Kingston. We're both saying Bobby Lashley, correct?
Yep.
I don't think there'll be any shenanigans in this. I think Kofi gets some shots in. Maybe Xavier's not even out there, just so Kofi could say, I want to do this on my own. But Lashley's going to run through him. I think, like I said, I think maybe Kofi gets the beginning of the match, and then it's all Lashley. And then Lashley could roll. And I personally, like I said, I think this should start the night, and you just have Lashley show how dominant it is. Any other thoughts on that match, Greg, for your side of things?
No, I agree with you. Is that this should be the opening match, definitely the first title match, and we put Lashley back as the powerhouse heel, and like I said earlier, a 10-minute match with Lashley winning about 8 minutes of that 10-minute match. So, yeah. And
how about the Raw Women's Championship? I think is where I'm mixed about. Like we said, I think the most interesting aspect of this match we're going to watch is how's the crowd going to react. I could see a very split crowd going back and forth. But I think Rhea Ripley ultimately wins. I don't think the feud is done. It probably should be done because I think after Money in the Bank we need a clear picture for SummerSlam and a new picture. But then again, we also have a draft coming in October, so maybe things just kind of run their course through October, or through September-ish, and then October we start fresh. But I think this is Rhea Ripley's to win. I mean, I could see Charlotte winning by DQ. That keeps it safe as well. But either way, I don't really care. That's what's sad. Like, I just can't. I don't know. These women are just too much the same. There's no Jimmy Corderas was a former WWE rep. He brought it up. Who do you root for and why? It's one thing to know who you should root for. The second part is why. In this one, we don't even know who we should root for. Greg, what about your own thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I'm going to take Charlotte.
Okay.
And we're
winning the title or just winning?
I'm going to say she's going to win the championship for a couple reasons.
14th time.
She's going to continue the continue the angle of, I got your number. And there's 2 title matches in a row that I've beaten you. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be something for Rhea to refocus on, maybe change the character up a little bit and her personality or mindset as far as getting back to a way to beat Charlotte. Also, it could set set stage for her getting moved over to SmackDown and having some matches over there.
Oh, Rhea moving to SmackDown?
Rhea, yes.
Okay.
And then there's the Becky Lynch factor. Becky Lynch comes back, she's going to be on Raw, I expect. And then who's the champ? Charlotte. So there you go. It's made and it's ready to go. I've heard rumblings about Becky lately, and it seems to be more and more as the weeks go by. So nobody said how close she is, but she's training, she's looking jacked, everything that we've been hearing. So maybe her reappearance is going to be sooner than later, maybe night after SummerSlam, something like that. And then we have a Charlotte Becky thing happening to take us through the end of the year. So that's another reason I could see putting it on Charlotte and moving Charlotte clone over to SmackDown.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I would just combat that with Rhea Ripley's needed more on Raw. Like, right, when we talk about women on there, like, there's not much star power. Now, Becky does help it, but then does Becky and Seth want to separate? Especially if you're going on the road. That's where I find it hard. Like, I want Becky on all the I want Becky everywhere, honestly. Becky could go NXT, SmackDown, and Raw. Like, she can go everywhere. But I think the baby factor does also play, it's like, that's a hard, like, who takes the baby? No, but do you leave the baby at home anyways with the nanny or whoever, or mom or dad? But yeah, I think Becky is on SmackDown, but then SmackDown's loaded if you think about it, with Becky, Sasha, Bianca, Bayley back at some point. I mean, I feel like you probably would switch back. You probably switch back Becky eventually, but because I would like to revisit Becky and Shayna. I think that's something out there too. So it's like, you could go back to that. But let's go to. So I'm curious, Greg. Do you think the Universal Championship closes the night? Because I feel like it is. Like Edge and Roman feels like it feels like it's close the night, but then again, it's Money in the Bank, so shouldn't you have a Money in the Bank match close the night?
Right, and I agree. It's close. It's kind of 51-49. But yeah, I think that Edge and Roman should be the second to last, and the Money in the Bank, men's Money in the Bank, should be the last match of the night, because that's the note you want to go out on. That's the last image you want to see, because that's going to fuel the next week's of TV, is the guy who's holding the contract, as opposed to Edge or Roman, continuing, Roman storyline. So any other pay-per-view, definitely, but this one, I think the men's Money in the Bank should be the last match of the night.
And I wonder if you do the Money in the Bank last, Edge loses, you could have Edge take out Seth, to try to keep that fire burning, Yeah. So maybe this could go on maybe the Universal Championship could be like right before, or maybe, but I'm going to be interested to see the placement of matches, because then again, we brought up the CM Punk stuff. That was technically the last match of the night when CM Punk won the title off John Cena. But then again, that was the biggest storyline. That had to go. Like, there was no doubt. And I can't remember who won was that Dolph Ziggler winning that year? I feel like. Yeah, because then he cashed it in 2012 on Del Rio at the WrestleMania after. Because it's Big E and AJ with him. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah. And there was somebody else who won the money. Because I think was that when they used to have 2 Money to Bank, Raw and SmackDown, or did they just have one?
They usually have one for each brand, yeah.
Yeah, so that I forget who won the other. But anyways, so that's not here nor there. But I do. So let's go to the women's side of things. I'm going to screen share. So I'm going to remove this for a minute so we can get a good look at these women. Share screen. And I love talking to myself as I go through it. Let's see if we could see that. There we go. All right. So, Greg, we've already kind of knocked out a couple women. Actually, we've knocked out half the field. So automatically, I'm going to say Natalya, Tamina, Nikki Ash, Liv Morgan. That side is gone. Then I'm going to say it's coming down to Selena Vega and Alexa. And I'm going to say Alexa Bliss wins. I think Alexa Bliss just makes the most sense. She can have it on the playground. She can, make it up somehow. It just, I'm going to, because I don't think Zelina needs it. I think Zelina has kind of shown that she has the star power that you could throw her in a title match whenever you feel like now. I feel like you've kind of put that up there. Now, some people have said, what if Sonya Deville, what if somebody gets taken out, Sonya Deville puts her name in there? I've seen that floating around. It is interesting. We did see Sonya Deville at Pierce last night. But I'm going to say Alexa Bliss takes the case here, Greg. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. She's the only thing that makes sense, really. Even though
you're not going to pull for your girl Asuka.
I'm always pulling for Asuka.
I know.
As far as the winning for this match, I don't see her happening.
Would Naomi be the dark horse? Do you think Naomi could be like the swerve? Like, let's just give it to Naomi. But then again, they gave her that Andre or the women's battle royal, and we saw that did nothing. So right. I don't know.
It's Alexa with Nikki a distant second.
Yeah.
Because I still see them leaning into the almost superhero. Mm-hmm. Just for depending on how the audience reacts to it.
That's true. We haven't seen the audience. Right? Yeah, we haven't seen the audience react.
Right. That's the whole thing. Is that we won't know until she comes out tomorrow night, and it get booed out of the building, or everybody could pop for it. So, I think they may be what they're looking at. I can definitely see it going over huge, and with her and Alexa, you have the classic good versus evil, and but Alexa's the proven batcher in this match, so I have her winning, and with Nikki on the fringes of if anybody else aside from Alexa wins, it would be her just because of the potential of the character.
And I mean, I guess I like the idea of Liv Morgan getting it, but I feel like Liv's already kind of getting her rub, and she started to show she doesn't need it. So I think that's good because so maybe and I wonder too, since we saw Alexa disappear Monday night, like will Alexa even be at the start of the match? I feel like there's going to be shenanigans and she'll show up like in the middle or something like that, or you wonder when right. Alexa will show up just because they played her up, like where'd she go? Maybe Eva Marie tries to take her place and then Alexa just takes her out.
Right.
I could see that, I could see that happening, or Eva Marie tells Dewdrop to go up there and Alexa just shows up at the top and takes her out, and Alexa gets it. But I could see Alexa not being there at the start of this match. So, and let me stop that share so I can bring up the men's side of things. Where are the men at so we could see their pretty faces?
I will say that the women's match is the one match that you wish was still in the Thunderdome because they could do a lot with the parlor
That's
tricks.
true. Yeah, that's true.
Alexa disappearing, and right as somebody or like you were saying with Eva getting to the top and with Dewdrop's help, all of a sudden there's Alexa at the top of the ladder sitting there grinning at her. So just
I guess that is true.
That aspect alone.
I forgot about the parlor tricks, like you say. I mean, if anything, you just have Alexa hanging out under the ring like Undertaker style. Our Sting had to wait. Remember, Sting had to be that statue and had to wait so long that he would start sweating off his makeup when he was feuding with Seth Rollins. So, but this men's field, Greg, I tell you what, this is probably the most stacked men's field we've had in a bit. And I mean, look at these. I mean, look, like Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, John Morrison, Nakamura, Big E, and then you throw in kind of the newer guys in Ricochet and Riddle. And this thing is, this really, I think they're going to pull out all the stops, and I think this will be a really good match to kind of let everybody have their shine. I think I agree with you earlier where we talked about Ricochet. Ricochet's the guy that I think has the most to prove, though. We know where everybody else kind of is positioned. We've seen everybody. We've seen Nakamura get some time. We know Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins could be at the top of the card, the bottom of the card, and still be important. It doesn't, like Seth Rollins is Teflon in my mind. Kevin Owens is kind of in that regard too. Riddle, I think we're starting to see where he goes. Drew McIntyre. I mean, I guess John Morrison could be another name, but Big E. It's Big E and Ricochet. I think they got a lot to prove, and my easy safe pick is Drew McIntyre, but the foreshadowing, like you brought up with Big E and Heyman, that's very intriguing. Mm-hmm. And I mean, is it too soon for Big E? Probably not. But I'm going to say Drew McIntyre. I know it's a safe bet. It's probably the easiest way to go out. It is intriguing in a way because do you just forego the stipulation somehow and say, well, Drew's got the case, so the case, overrides anything else, or do you have, Drew go to Roman and just try to take out Roman and switches? But I think Drew needs to be on Raw, and that's what's going to be telling. So what I'm hearing is the draft will be October, 1st and 3rd or whatever. It's going to be the beginning of October. So that's still a couple months of, a few months away to where we, we still have time for guys to kind of make their name. But I'd say Drew McIntyre is my favorite to win in my prediction. And Big E is probably a closer to second than I think. Anybody else would just be a nice surprise, and I wouldn't have any, honestly, I don't think I have a problem with anybody winning it. That's, truly, I look at all these guys and I think they all could do something with it. So I don't really, if anybody wins it other than Drew, okay. And if Drew wins it, okay. I'm kind of I'll just see where the story goes no matter what. Usually, the women's side, we were kind of automatically, I'm nobody, this person's not going to win. This men's side, I could see a case for everybody. So who is your official prediction, Greg, at the end of the night?
Yeah, I can definitely see where you're going.
Big E?
Drew just seems too obvious.
Yeah.
And usually when it seems too obvious, they don't do it. It's interesting because it would be an interesting twist because of the stipulation with Leslie. And in the case that he does win it, the way to squash that would be to come out on the next show and go okay, is you have the contract, that means your stipulation in your last match with Lashley is null and void because this
Like
trumps that.
overrides it.
So just
And,
come out and just out with it and don't make us guess. Just put it out there so that way you unravel that mystery and he can carry that forward and not have that everybody wondering the same thing. So if Drew wins, you have to go ahead and put that out there right away.
Right away, yeah.
But like I said, it seems too obvious with him in this match. KO with it would be awesome because we love KO with Mic Time and him being able to come out and stomp around and be intimidating. We're watching the evolution of Riddle right now. I think a year from now he's going to be a totally different character, and we have got to watch his ascendancy, his maturity before our eyes. Ricochet, so much potential, and he's on the cusp of it, and he just needs to be, let him fly. Pun intended. Morrison's the only guy I cannot see winning at all. So he's got the big old X on him, Firefly Funhouse style. Nakamura would be fun. I don't see it. And Seth, like I said, we already saw his hands on the case at SmackDown, so he's not going to get it. And then Big E. So putting out there right now, give it to Big E. All bets are off. He's been, a solo act for the last year. And, crowds are back. They're going to go mad for him. And so much to do with him, with that contract in his hand, or that briefcase in his hand. So much they could do with it. And, build up for a match with Reigns down the road while giving Big E plenty of steam for the rest of the year, higher profile matches. And so it just goes too obvious. Otherwise, I'd pick Drew, but it just seems too obvious. So I'm picking E. If I had to go to the bank and put a bet down right now, I go with E1 and then Drew 2.
And Big E could go to Raw and cash in on Lashley. And that could come full circle for New Day. Like, you could almost play that off like, oh, Big E got the job done, but Kofi or Xavier Woods couldn't do it. So who knows, like, where you could go with that. Or you could just have them all happy. You could have you don't have to, you could just have them all happy for each other. Like, you could have New Day, chipping away at Bobby Lashley for Big E type deal. So,
or the most amazing fantasy booking right here. Kofi beats Lashley, and then E wins the Money in the Bank,
and beats Kofi.
Yeah, then he gets drafted over to Raw, where Kofi is the champion.
Would you have to turn Big E heel in that regard, or would you keep Big E as he is?
Ooh, it'd be interesting.
That's where I think because we've seen a little Big E as a heel, with the stuff with, like I brought up earlier, Dolph Ziggler and AJ. But, we've seen Big E for a face for what? 7 years, 6, whatever New Day's run has been. I mean, I guess they were kind of heelish for a short time. That they were, I think, they've always been kind of teetering that line. But for the most part, they've been pretty much faces. So, yeah, Kofi wins, and then Kofi and Big E would be intriguing, and maybe we could have Xavier Woods in a shark cage on the top. No. Like we joked that one time, like a New Day match for Big E or for Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods on a ladder match, on a pole match. You could be like the custody of Dominique. But So
the New Day Civil War would be a fun storyline.
Mm-hmm. Well, we should have always got the Shield one, and we kind of did, but it felt like the Shield it was stop and go with that one. So, I mean, we did get the night that Moxley Dean Ambrose won the Money in Bank. I think cashed in on Seth, who beat Roman. So you had all three Shield members hold the title in one night, which is crazy to think. But I'm intrigued with the men's one more so than the women's one. Like we said, there's some aspect, but that men's one is this is really the top. Some of the top guys you got right now on both sides of the fence. Raw and SmackDown. So this men one, I think, is one of the more stacked ones we've had in a while. And I know some people brought up, champions shouldn't be in it, but sometimes, like that one that they did all former champions, I kind of liked because it made sense at the time. And this one, you got Drew, who's won it before. Kevin Owens has won a title. Seth has won a title. So it's not like you have, John Morrison won ECW title. Not like you have, a lot of former champions in this one. So I think it's got a good mixture of, guys. So ultimately, I think we're in for a good night. We're so happy to fans back. And like you said, I think seeing what fans will react to, Nikki Ash, I can see little kids being big. You might see some little girls or boys, with the making their own costumes. And, I think Nikki Ash, I think she does fly. I think she'll come off the ladder and, backstage she'll be like, oh, did you see me fly off the ladder and all that and play that up. So it's good. I think the crowd back is going to be fun. And the Roman Edge match, I think, is going to get the crowd going back and forth. Charlotte match and Rhea Ripley. So we're just happy to have crowds back, fans back. And I think we're in for a fun night and build to SummerSlam in Vegas. I think that's going to be awesome to see because it'll feel like a big fight, all night in there in Vegas. And I believe the first event for that Vegas stadium. So that's pretty good for WWE to get that. But any closing thoughts you have, Greg? So you're calling Suns tonight and Game 6?
Yep.
All right.
We need to go ahead and get him out of there. We take the momentum back with Game 5 tonight, and then close them out in Milwaukee. And this time next week, we'll be celebrating the Suns championship, the first one in their 53-year history. So let's go Suns. So stoked for these live crowds, and the energy is already so much better. The product already looks so much better. I got goosebumps watching SmackDown. Hearing those pops, and you could tell that the performers were feeling it, and so that's going to carry for a long while. I'm looking forward to going to Fight for the Fallen and seeing AEW live for the first time, and feeling the vibe at a wrestling show. You already got me beat on that, but you're announcing gig. So, but it's going to be so much fun getting back out there and enjoying it in person. So, looking forward to seeing the Money in Bank tomorrow night, hearing those reactions, talking about it tomorrow or next week, this time next week. And
will we have a new
NBA weekend.
Champion? Will we have a new NBA champion by next week, no matter what? Or would Game 7 probably be next Saturday?
No, Game 7 would be Thursday.
So, okay. Oh, because Tuesday is probably Game 6.
Right.
Oh, so because I was thinking there'd be 2 days between travel, but I guess nowadays with private planes and all that, they could probably get 1 day and get there. So by Thursday,
at the latest, it would be Friday.
Okay. I was curious if they, I would think Saturday night would be the bigger night for a Game 7. So that's why I wasn't sure if they would, what the schedule was. But so we got 5. And real quick, have you been to WWE events live?
Yeah.
Okay.
Plenty of them.
Yeah, you said okay. Yeah, I thought so. So have you been to pay-per-views live? Any pay-per-views?
Yeah, I've been to Royal Rumble. I went to
And you went to WrestleMania
33.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure. Yeah, because Royal Rumble is the one that I keep. It's on my list, but it's never close. Now, nowadays it's been in Texas and California and Florida. So I'm like, well, who knows when I'll get to Royal Rumble because they haven't done anything close to here. So, but yeah, definitely thanks for watching. Another 2 hours and 40-minute show for you guys. Whew, we got a lot to talk up today. So get back at it next week and enjoy the weekend. And I need to end broadcast. That's what I need to do. And there we go.